All right, welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today, getting into the nitty-gritty of how things move around the world.
It's a fascinating world, really, full of complexities and, well, constant change.
Exactly. And we're taking a closer look at a podcast called Transportation, Moving the World.
It's part of the Logistics Lens series. You know, we all order stuff online or get things shipped, but have you ever stopped to think about what it really takes to make that happen?
Yeah, it's easy to take it for granted until something goes wrong, like when that giant container ship got stuck in the Suez Canal.
Oh, yeah, talk about a global traffic jam. Okay, so before we get too far ahead, let's set the stage. How was all this handled before we had all the fancy tech we do now?
Well, think back to, say, 2009. Before the real tech boom, most of it was manual.
Really? Like pen and paper?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No real-time updates, limited visibility.
Yeah.
It was a different world.
Wow, so if you ordered something, you basically had to just cross your fingers and hope it showed up. Kind of. It was a lot slower and much less efficient. Businesses had a tough time keeping track of inventory, and disruptions were a nightmare to manage.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So when did things start to change?
Well, that's when transportation management systems, or TMS, came into the picture. They really revolutionized the industry.
TMS. Break that down for me. What's it all about?
Think of it as like a central command center for all your shipments. It allows you to plan, track, and optimize everything in one place.
Like a GPS, but for all your deliveries.
Yeah, kind of. And with technologies like telematics and mobile devices, you could suddenly see where everything was in real time.
That must have been a huge game changer for businesses.
Oh, absolutely. It meant fewer delays, less wasted time and money, and improved customer satisfaction.
Right.
And then there's proof of delivery, or POD. Remember all that paperwork?
Oh, yeah, signing for packages and all that.
Exactly. Well, TMS made that instant. Real-time confirmation, no more chasing down signatures.
So much more efficient. Well, let's zoom out a bit. What about international shipping? That's got to be a whole other beast.
Oh, for sure. When you're moving goods across continents, things get a lot more complicated. You've got different road networks, varying regulations, tolls. It's a complex web.
Plus, all the potential for delays. Like what happens if a truck breaks down in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, that's where real-time tracking becomes even more crucial. You need to be able to know where your goods are at all times and adjust accordingly.
And keep in mind, those shipments can be on the road for weeks. Makes you appreciate that little package tracking notification, huh?
Absolutely. And that Suez Canal incident really highlighted how interconnected and honestly fragile global trade can be.
Right. One little hiccup and the whole system can grind to a halt.
Exactly. It's like a giant orchestra. All these different players have to be in sync for it to work.
Okay, I love that analogy. And speaking of orchestras, who's the conductor in this logistical symphony?
That would be the freight forwarders.
Yeah.
They're the ones who, well, they make sure everything runs smoothly.
So they're the behind-the-scenes heroes of global trade.
You could say that. They have deep knowledge of routes, carriers, customs regulations. They're master negotiators and problem solvers.
They're the ones figuring out the fastest, most efficient, and most cost-effective way to get things where they need to go.
Exactly. They're also big on minimizing empty miles, which is important for both the environment and the bottom line.
Okay, so speaking of the bottom line, what determines those shipping costs we see? Is it just distance?
Well, distance is a big factor, of course, but it's not the only one. The weight and type of cargo matter, as does the carrier's base rate.
Carrier base rate, what's that?
It's like the starting point for a shipment's price. And then you have all sorts of surcharges on top of that.
Surcharges.
Yeah.
Like hidden fees.
Not exactly hidden, but they can add up. Things like fuel costs, handling fees, security charges. It all depends on the specific shipment.
So it's kind of like ordering a pizza, you know? You've got the base price and then all the toppings and delivery fees.
Huh, that's a good way to put it.
But even choosing the delivery route can make a difference, right? Like, is it faster to take the highway or those back roads?
That's a great point. Route optimization is another key factor. Choosing the most efficient route isn't just about speed, it's also about minimizing fuel consumption and environmental impact.
So it's about finding that balance between speed, cost, and sustainability.
Exactly. And we're not just talking about maps anymore. There are AI algorithms and machine learning involved, analyzing traffic patterns, weather, even fuel prices to determine the optimal route.
Wow, it's amazing how much tech goes into this.
Yeah.
But how do they even fit all this stuff onto those ships and trucks? It's like a giant puzzle.
Well, that's where containerization comes in. It's one of the biggest innovations in the history of logistics.
Containerization. Like those big metal boxes you see on ships and trains?
Yep, those are the ones. They're standardized, which means they can be easily stacked and moved between different modes of transport.
It's like a giant game of Tetris, but for global trade.
Pretty much. And it's incredibly efficient. Less handling, reduced theft and damage, lower costs overall.
So those containers are the unsung heroes of globalization.
You could say that. Of course, there are some upfront costs involved in setting up container terminals and handling them, but the benefits outweigh the drawbacks.
Well, it's clear that technology has completely transformed the world of logistics. But where do we go from here? What's next?
That's the exciting part. There's so much potential. We're already seeing advances in automation, robotics, predictive analytics. The possibilities are endless.
So what's your dream innovation? If you could create the next big thing in logistics, what would it be?
That's a tough one. I think,
But we'll leave that for you to ponder. And for all of you listening, what innovations would you like to see? Let us know your thoughts and keep exploring the fascinating world of logistics. Until next time.